Hey guys, so I wanted to film a not vloggy video just to go over all of the things that I was doing before I started the injections, the things that I did during the time when I first started the injections, and then some things afterwards in terms of long-term habits and that kind of thing, just because I think it might be useful for people who are considering going on them coming up to the new year, or possibly switching from Mounjaro to Wegovy because of cost, that kind of thing. So before I started the injections, I was around 20 stone, which is about £280, and I was feeling extremely unwell. I couldn't think straight. Everything from the minute I woke up was an effort. Even a short walk to the shops would leave me out of breath, exhausted, sweating, and I was just miserable. But I was in the mindset that I couldn't really do anything about it. I'd tried on and off to lose weight in the past and nothing really seemed to work. I wasn't really able to stick to anything, and that was mainly due to the fact that I was having these issues around the week before my period. I get really hungry, and I get really bad sugar cravings as well. The problem was that as my weight was increasing, my hormones were becoming more and more unbalanced, and that then had the knock-on effect of making my pre-period hunger even worse. So it was like a vicious cycle in the end. I'll insert a picture here, and this picture is from October 2023, and when you look at that picture, you can see how uncomfortable I am. You can see the fluid retention all over. You can see around my midsection. I'm carrying so much excess weight, and to look at that now, I just can't believe that I've managed to get all of that off, or most of it off. Still got a bit to go, but yeah, I'd spent from October 2023, and that was in Lanzarote. We'd gone on holiday with my mum. That was October 2023, and then all that time going up to June 2024, I was struggling with my blood pressure and you know, really having a lot of health issues, and it was getting to a point where I couldn't really ignore it anymore. And just before that holiday to Lanzarote, I'd actually tried really hard to lose some weight in time for going away, and it got to a point where I was having a review for my blood pressure with my GP, because obviously I was on medication, and they can't keep giving you the medication month on month without really checking how you're doing. So I had a review, and they noticed that my blood pressure was even higher again, and they wanted to start me on an additional blood pressure medication. And I thought, well, the blood pressure medication I'm on at the moment is giving me side effects, and one of those side effects were fluid retention. And I'd started on the new medication, but I could see straight away this wasn't going to work. I was getting even more fluid retention, feeling really rough, and I thought, well, one of the next steps would be to have a water tablet, like a diuretic. And then I thought, well, there might be side effects from that, so they'll want to put me on something else. And I just thought, this can't carry on. I need to do something. And during that time, I'd heard whisperings online, just little things here and there about GLP-1 medications. I didn't go to my GP about my weight with that in mind. However, I plucked up the courage and it took me quite a while to do it because I'd never reached out for help around my weight before, and I'm not very good at asking for help anyway. So I spoke to my GP, and during that conversation we did get onto the subject of GLP-1s, and I'd said to my GP, you know, if I could afford them, I'd go on them. And she said, well, don't do that. We could try and get them through the NHS for you. So she referred me to a health coach, and that was not a good experience. So I walked into the room at my first health coach appointment, and I knew straight away that we weren't going to click, we weren't going to gel. This just wasn't going to be for me. I don't know what it was, but maybe it was a bit of skepticism, a bit of bias, I don't know. But when I walked in there, I just thought, this doesn't feel right. And immediately she started talking to me about mindfulness and managing food cravings with mindfulness. When you get up in the morning, do this meditation. And I just thought, you don't really get this, do you? So I tried to explain to her that, well, actually, my hunger is physical hunger. So if I don't eat for a few hours, because that's what we do, isn't it? We guilt ourselves and try and put off eating for as long as we can, and then we get to a point where we're absolutely starving and we'll eat anything. And so when I'm in that phase before my period and I try and put off eating as long as I can, I'm literally getting to a point where I'm physically shaking, I'm clammy, I feel like I'm going to faint because I'm physically hungry. It's not up here. This is a physiological response to me not eating when I should have done. And she just disregarded it, and she just made me feel so silly and so like I was imagining it all. It was really an awful experience, to be honest. Anyway, I ended up politely walking out of the room. I didn't want to upset her. She's trying to do a job at the end of the day. But we just weren't on the same wavelength at all. And I just said to her, listen, this isn't going to work. This isn't for me. I'm going to go. And I left the room, and I was so upset. But thankfully, my GP was really, really supportive. She's just said, don't worry about it. Put it to the back of your mind. We'll move on to the next step. So she referred me to the Tier 3 weight loss team. And they're a team of dietitians based at one of the local hospitals. So that referral went through, and I saw on my record, because we've got access to medical records and all sorts now, haven't we? So I had a look in the app, and I could see, oh wow, she's done the referral, and on the referral it said this lady needs either GLP-1 medication or bariatric surgery. And we hadn't really discussed that, to be honest, but I think she knew that I was willing to do quite a lot to tackle the issue. So, you know, she was advocating for me more than anything, I think. So anyway, I got an acceptance letter from the hospital, and they said right at the bottom of the letter, we do not issue GLP-1 medications on this programme. So I thought, oh, okay. And at this point, I'd got my head in such a space where this was it. I'd done loads and loads of research during this kind of transition phase to the next tier, and I thought, no, this is it. This is what is going to help me. This is going to save my life, and I was utterly convinced that this had to be done. I had to do it this way, and there was no other way. And after discussion with my GP about being serious about these GLP-1 medications, she said to me, on paper, when you look at your situation where your most weakness lies in the imbalance in your hormones, GLP-1 medications are a hormone medication, And it just makes so much sense that something like that would be the thing to address the issue that you're having. And, you know, she was convinced that this is the right thing to do for me. This is the right option. So with that in mind, and after getting so excited about being referred and being so disappointed, I thought, I'm going to have to find a way to pay for these myself. And at this point, we hadn't had the price increase or anything. So I started on Wegovy because I don't think Mounjaro was that available at the time. So I did a month on Wegovy, and then there was a massive stock issue nationally. So I was told by my pharmacist, just jump to Mounjaro, it's fine. So I started on the Mounjaro and I had loads of success on that. So when I first started on the Wegovy in June 2024, I very deliberately didn't change anything about my lifestyle, about my food choices, anything, because I wanted just to see how I would respond to the medication itself and kind of get a baseline for how the medication actually worked for me. And I did see some positive effect from it, bearing in mind I was only on the Wegovy for a month to begin with. I think I actually saw some weight loss during that time as well. And I was just going into it really slowly, just not letting myself get too carried away with everything or too obsessive about anything, just giving myself a bit of space and time to get used to the injection and just find my feet with it all. Then after that month of being on the Wegovy, I had to go onto the Mounjaro. So it was like a clean slate really, because I had to go back to the beginning of the Mounjaro program. It was completely different medication, and you know, they wanted me to start from scratch. So again, eased myself into it, didn't make any major changes to begin with, and I was seeing some really positive effects. Side effects were a pain in the arse, but in terms of the positive effects, I was seeing them. So then I started off by trying to introduce using the Team RH app a bit more. So I'd been using it on and off for ages. When you look at my profile on the app, you'll see that it says, I think it's June 2024, because that's when the rollout of the new version of the app came out. So this app thinks that I started the program with Team RH in June 2024, when in fact I'd been signed up to Team RH for about a year before that. And I've been trying to get into using the app and trying to push myself to do it, but didn't really have much success. So after a few weeks of being on the Mounjaro, I really started to try and knuckle down in using the app and just tracking what I was eating. I didn't pressure myself. Some days I didn't track anything at all. Other days I was doing really well. And I just kept trying to build on that. So I just started by tracking what I was eating and having a set calorie goal for the day with my protein and fibre and all that kind of thing. And then on the back of that, I started realising, you know, I'm getting used to using this app now. I'm doing it more and more regularly. I'm hitting the goals within the app. Thinking about my protein now, because, you know, that's a massive thing around GLP-1 usage, because you get muscle wastage, hair loss, your skin can sag, and having that extra protein really helps. So I started adding collagen to my coffee in the morning, just one little change, and, you know, adding on to the usage of the app. Started doing that every day, hitting my protein goal a bit more, or getting nearer to it. Then I started doing early morning walks, because the app really encourages steps. So I started doing early morning walks 3 times a week mostly. Didn't do it every week, didn't do it every time I planned to, but I was trying to get in that habit. So I'm just building these little habits bit by bit. So the next thing that I started working on was water. I didn't start this soon enough, unfortunately. So one of the things that they recommend, highly recommend, is that you increase your water intake when you're on a GLP-1. And when you're on any weight loss program, journey, whatever, water is a massive one. I ignored that for too long and ended up getting a kidney infection. So that pushed me into increasing my water intake, and I will never ever forget my water ever again. After that, I was in so much pain and I was so scared. That's just a massively ingrained habit in my daily routine now. So at this point, I'm tracking my food mostly, doing my best with it. I'm getting more steps in. I've increased my protein intake, and I'm drinking enough water every day. So as I'm tackling these little habits and trying to ingrain them into my daily life, the weight is coming off and I'm feeling better, I'm moving better. Life just feels easier in general. And the one thing that I would say about the Mounjaro that you won't see with the Wegovy as much, or from my personal experience anyway, is it gave me some kind of mental clarity, some kind of mental space to be able to focus on these little goals. And I think that's where these GLP-1 medications are the major factor in people's weight loss journeys. I think it's the mental headspace that it gives you to be able to focus on these little habits and these goals that you've got for yourself. So the next thing, and I put this off for a long time, if you look back through my videos, you'll see that there's so many videos where I'm sat there going, I need to get to the gym. I need to start going to the gym. And I'm putting it off. And I got to a point in December 2024 where I thought, I can't put this off any longer. I've lost enough weight to be able to feel like I can cope with a gym routine. So I've no excuse there. And if I put it off any longer and go into the new year and go then, it's going to be heaving. There's going to be too many people there for me to feel comfortable going in. So I thought, this is the time. I have to do it now. Now, I had quite a big advantage because my son was already signed up to that gym. So I had the advantage of being able to go with him. I did an induction with one of the personal trainers there. I would recommend anybody, if you're scared about joining the gym, about going in, whatever, do an induction, and also take a notepad with you. I've got a note app on my phone, and it's like a stylus thing that I have on it. So I just walked around with the personal trainer and took notes on everything, and I really made the most of that session. So after I got in the habit of going to the gym, I started off doing a couple of sessions a week. Again, I didn't want to go all in with it straight away and then burn myself out. In the past, I have had a habit of doing that. I'll start something, a journey, a program, a plan, whatever, and I'll just go all in, 110%, obsessive about it, and then burn myself out. So again, I kept that theme of just starting off very slowly, 1 to 2 sessions a week, nothing major, and then I built it from there. So I started doing 3 sessions a week. The other hurdle I had to get over was going on my own. So my son wasn't always able to go with me, which impacted my ability to go, and I didn't want to be in that position. So I chose a really quiet time to do it. I think it was a Sunday morning really early, and I just went by myself. It took a lot to do it, but I did it. And after I did it the first time, it was like, okay, I've done it now. I'm still alive. I'm going to be okay, you know, and I just took it from there. So building on that again, I introduced a 4th session. So now I aim to go 4 times a week wherever I can. So now I'm at the stage where I'm using the app much more regularly, almost to the full extent. I've got my protein nailed. I'm increasing that all the time. I'm doing the steps, I'm doing the water, and I've got the gym. So over a period of 6 months or so, I've gone from nothing to quite a good set of habits that I'm trying every day to maintain. I'm not being too hard on myself when I don't meet the goals or follow the habits that I plan to. I'm not obsessive about any of it. I'm just trying to be less hard on myself, and if I don't meet my goals or my habits for that day, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. This is about long-term success. It's not about, I've got 3 months to lose this much weight and da-da-da. If you're going into this, you've got to be of the frame of mind that this is a lifelong thing. You're doing this over a number of years and for the rest of your life. And when I talk about these things, it actually sounds quite simple, but it's not, is it? We all know that. When you're trying to add changes or habits or goals to your daily life, it's really, really hard. And I would say to anybody, just try and start with one to begin with, like I did. Just start with one and then introduce another, but try and tackle one at a time. So make sure that whichever one you do first, you've ingrained that into your daily routine and it has become a habit, and then add another one on top. You're not in a rush, or you shouldn't be, I would say. Just don't try and rush anything. What helped me was to have certain systems in place around all of these habits and these goals that I had. So there are certain things that I did in addition to the actual goals that I had that would help maintain these habits. And I'll do another video on that, like a separate one, because I think it'd be too drawn out if I was to add it to this one. So yeah, look out for that video as well. So anyway, thank you for watching this one, and if you've got any questions or thoughts or anything like that, leave them in the comments below. And if you're thinking about going on your own GLP-1 journey, I wish you all the best of luck.